Welcome to DNN, Death News Network. Today we're going to talk about unusual deaths of the 20th century as a special broadcast for the Day of the Dead. Stanton Walker, 25th of October, 1902. The 20-year-old Walker was watching an amateur baseball game in Morristown, Ohio, with a friend on either side of him. One of the friends borrowed a knife from the other to sharpen his pencil as he was keeping score, and when he was finished, passed the knife to Walker to pass to the other friend. As Walker was holding the knife, a foul ball struck him in the hand and drove the knife into his chest next to his heart. His friends asked if he was hurt, and he said, quote, "Not much." But the wound soon began to bleed heavily, and he died within minutes. Unknown. Early 1903, an unnamed person was beaten to death with a Bible during a healing ceremony gone wrong in Honolulu, Hawaii. He was being treated for malaria when his family summoned a kahuna who decided he was possessed by devils and tried to exorcise the demons. The kahuna was charged with manslaughter. Benjamin Taylor A. Bell, 1st of March 1904, on 18th of February 1904, while taking his habitual shortcut to the Canadian Mining Review offices through an adjacent store, Canadian journalist Benjamin Taylor A. Bell walked through the wrong door in the store and fell 10 feet down an elevator shaft. He died of his injuries on 1st of March. John Mortensen, 1st of May 1904. 19-year-old duck hunter John Mortensen of Wairoa, New Zealand, drowned in about 6 inches of water on the Ware o Marineu Reserve in Napier, New Zealand, apparently having fallen while having a seizure. George Spencer Millett, 15th of February 1909. George Millett, an American teenager who worked as an office boy at an insurance company at the Metropolitan Life Building in New York City, was fleeing 6 young women, stenographers, at his workplace intent on giving him kisses for his 15th birthday while carrying an ink eraser in his pocket. As the women moved in for their kisses, he fell forward and the eraser's point pierced his heart, killing him. Doc Powers, 26th of April 1909. Baseball player Michael Riley Doc Powers, 38, ran into a wall while chasing a foul ball during a game at Philadelphia's Shibe Park on April 12th, 1909. He died from internal injuries 2 weeks later. Franz Reichelt, 4th of February 1912. Franz Reichelt, a tailor and inventor, leaped from the Eiffel Tower and fell to his death wearing a parachute made from cloth, his own invention. He was asked by friends and authorities to use a dummy for the feat, but declined, saying, quote, "I intend to prove the worth of my invention." Reichelt is known as the Flying Tailor. Julian Carleton, 7th of October 1914. Carleton, who was a servant to the American architect Frank Lloyd Wright, committed a mass murder spree on August 15th, 1914 at Wright's Taliesin studio, during which he killed 7 people with a hatchet and set the studio ablaze. Carleton then attempted suicide by drinking hydrochloric acid. However, this failed to kill him. After nearly being lynched, Carleton was arrested and brought to a jail in Dodgeville, Wisconsin, where, having severely damaged his esophagus, he starved to death 47 days later. Grigory Rasputin, 30th of December 1916. The Russian mystic died of 3 gunshot wounds, one of which was a close-range shot to his forehead. Little is certain about his death beyond this, and the circumstances of his death have been the subject of considerable speculation. According to his murderer himself, Prince Felix Yusupov, Grigory Rasputin consumed tea, cakes, and wine which had been laced with cyanide, but he did not appear to be affected by it. He was then shot once in the chest and believed to be dead, but after a while he leaped up and attacked Yusupov, who freed himself and fled. Rasputin followed and made it into the courtyard before being shot again and collapsing into a snowbank. The conspirators then wrapped his body and dropped it in the Malaya Nevka River. Victims of the Great Molasses Flood, 15th of January 1919. 21 people were killed and 150 injured in the Great Molasses Flood when a large tank of molasses burst in Boston's North End. Ray Chapman, 17th of August 1920. On August 16th, 1920, when he was up to bat, Cleveland Indians baseball player Ray Chapman, 29, was struck in the head by a pitch thrown by New York Yankees Carl Mays and died 12 hours later. He was the only player in Major League Baseball history to have died as a direct result of an on-field injury. Alexander of Greece, 25th of October 1920. King Alexander of Greece, 27, died of sepsis after being bitten by a palace steward's pet Barbary macaque in his garden while trying to break up a fight between his German shepherd and another monkey. George Herbert, 5th Earl of Carnarvon, 5th of April 1923. George Herbert, 5th Earl of Carnarvon, who financed Howard Carter's search for Tutankhamun, died after a mosquito bite which he had cut while shaving became infected. Some attributed his death to the so-called Curse of the Pharaohs. Frank Hayes, 4th of June 1923. Frank Hayes, 22, a jockey of Elmont, New York, died of a heart attack mid-race and collapsed on the horse, which nonetheless crossed the finish line first, still carrying his body. Martha Mansfield, 30th of November 1923, while American film actress Martha Mansfield, 24, was on location in San Antonio, Texas, filming the American Civil War drama The Warrens of Virginia, a lit match was carelessly tossed by a crew member, which ignited the hoop skirts and ruffles of her Civil War costume. Mansfield had just finished filming her scenes and retired to a car when her clothing burst into flames. Co-star Wilfred Lytell and a chauffeur were able to extinguish the flames, and Mansfield was rushed to a hospital where she died the following day from her injuries. Thornton Jones, 1924. Thornton Jones, a lawyer from Bangor, Gwynedd, Wales, woke up to find that he had his throat slit. Motioning for a paper and pencil, he wrote, quote, "I dreamt that I had done it. I awoke to find it true," and died 80 minutes later. He had done it himself while unconscious. An inquest at Bangor delivered a verdict of, quote, "suicide while temporarily insane." Bobby Leach, 26th of April 1926. Bobby Leach, an American stunt performer, died after a botched amputation of the infected leg which he had broken after slipping on an orange peel. He had gone over Niagara Falls in a barrel 15 years earlier. Philip McLean, 1926. Philip McLean, 16, and his brother were clubbing a cassowary on the family property in Mossman, Queensland, when it knocked him down, kicked him in the neck, and opened a large cut, leading to death from loss of blood. Isadora Duncan, 14th of September 1927. Isadora Duncan, an American dancer, broke her neck in Nice, France, when her long scarf became entangled in the open-spoked wheel and rear axle of the Amilcar CGSS automobile in which she was riding. Nicholas Comper, 17th of June 1939. Nicholas Comper, an aviator and aircraft designer, was attempting to light a firework in Hythe, Kent, when a passer-by inquired what he was doing. Comper replied that he was an IRA man planning to blow up the town hall. The passer-by knocked down Comper, who hit his head on the curb. Sherwood Anderson, 8th of March 1941. Sherwood Anderson, an American writer, died of peritonitis after accidentally swallowing a toothpick. Clarence Stagemeyer, 29th of September 1943. Stagemeyer, 32, was watching a Cleveland Indians-Washington Senators doubleheader in Griffith Stadium when an errant throw by Senators' third baseman Sherry Robertson struck him in the forehead. Despite appearing uninjured afterwards, he heeded the Senators' team positions and treaties to go to the hospital, where he died the next day of a fractured skull. Stagemeyer was the first fan in Major League Baseball history killed by a ball leaving the field, and the only such fatality to date to have been struck by a thrown ball. Thomas Midgley Jr., 2nd of November 1944. In 1940, at the age of 51, Midgley contracted polio, which left him severely disabled. He devised an elaborate system of ropes and pulleys to lift himself out of bed. In 1944, he became entangled in the device and died of strangulation. Thomas Mantell, 7th of January 1948. Thomas Mantell, the pilot of a P-51 Mustang fighter plane, crashed while in pursuit of an unidentified flying object near the town of Franklin, Kentucky, thus becoming the first person known to have died as a result of a UFO sighting. Officially, the object remains unidentified, though the most likely explanation is that it was a U.S. Navy skyhook balloon. Mary Reeser, 2nd of July 1951. Mary Reeser was found by the police in her St. Petersburg, Florida home, almost totally cremated where she sat, while her apartment was relatively damage-free. Some speculate that she spontaneously combusted. Margaret Wise Brown, 13th of November 1952. Margaret Wise Brown, 42, author of Goodnight Moon, had been previously admitted to the hospital for an ovarian cyst. To prove how healthy she was after treatment, she kicked her foot in the air, dislodging a blood clot in her leg. The blood clot quickly traveled to her brain, and she died in emergency surgery. Gareth Jones, 30th of November 1958. Gareth Jones, a British actor, died of a heart attack between scenes of a live television play, Underground, on the ITV network in the UK. Other members of the cast improvised lines such as, "I'm sure if so-and-so were here, he would say," to compensate for his absence. Coincidentally, his character was scripted to die of a heart attack in a later scene of the play. Thank you for listening, and I wish you a happy Day of the Dead, Halloween, and or Allerheiligen.